Today we're going to finish chapter 2. We're studying the book of Exodus. We're looking at the life of Moses. To bring you up to speed, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and so Moses ends up killing the Egyptian. Now, probably the Hebrew word to beat could mean to beat to death. He probably saved the slave's life. Also, I can imagine the Egyptian. It's okay if Rosie barks. That's what you do when you're outside. Moses probably was defending himself as well after the Egyptian may have turned on him. But then the next day he sees a couple of Hebrews and they're fighting with one another. And they had heard about what happened, and the Hebrews even said, "No, are you going to kill one of us too?" Pharaoh heard about it, and so now Pharaoh's trying to kill Moses. Some scholars believe that Moses actually was being groomed to be the next Pharaoh, since he was the adopted son of the princess, but not anymore. We pick up our story in verse 16, and Moses is on the run. He goes to a place called Midian, and when he arrives, there's a priest who has 7 daughters, and the 7 daughters go to a well. They're trying to draw water so they can water their flocks, and the other shepherds run them off, I guess because they're women. But Moses is there, and instead of letting the shepherds do that, he drives them away. Moses himself waters their flock. When the girls return to their father, the father is surprised. "Why are you back so soon?" And she said, "Well, there was this Egyptian, and he rescued us from the shepherds. He even watered the flock for us." And so their dad is, "Where is he? You mean he did all of that for you and you just left him there? Bring him to the house. Let's invite him in, give him something to eat." And so Moses agrees to stay with them, and this leads to a marriage. Moses ends up marrying one of his daughters named Zipporah. And so this is our story, and then it concludes with the Israelites groaning out in their slavery, crying out to God, and God hears their prayer. So what application can we find? Well, first of all, how did he get a wife? He got a wife by serving her, by meeting her needs, by watering her flock. If you're single and you're listening to this and you think you're going to get a wife because you are so good looking, that's not the right approach. To win a woman's heart, you serve her. You ask, "How can I serve her today?" And by the way, if you are married, it's a good way to have a happy wife is to look for ways that you can serve her every day. And then a second thought is that God uses solitude to prepare us for great things. We know from the book of Acts chapter 7 that Moses was 40 years old when he fled Egypt and went to Midian. We know that 40 years passed as he's wandering around, following, shepherding stubborn sheep. He did that for 40 years, leading up to the burning bush that we'll read about tomorrow in Exodus chapter 3. And so in preparation for the great work where God would use Moses to deliver the children of Israel, he spent 40 years in solitude. Sometimes before God uses us greatly, he wants us to spend time with him, time alone. Maybe following those stubborn sheep in the wilderness would prepare him for leading the stubborn people of Israel one day. It's been said that Moses, those first 40 years growing up in the Egyptian palace, first 40 years he thought he was a somebody. The next 40 years chasing sheep around in the Midian wilderness, he thought he was a nobody. And then the last 40 years of his life, Moses learned that God can take a nobody and turn him into a somebody. And he would be the instrument through which God would deliver his people. The story is so exciting. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. We'll jump into chapter 3 at a burning bush.